Welcome back to Fantasy 1.0. Today we're going to go through every NFL team and we're going to talk about all the players that you should and you shouldn't draft. We're back with the pen throwing too.
Put your seatbelt on and yield for the apocalypse, yeah. It's the apocalypse, yeah.
All right, so this is going to be some pretty high level stuff. We're just going to sort of skim over everything. It's early in the preseason. I'm just going to go through every NFL team. So this will take a little while. And I'm just going to, talk about some of the key players that you may be coming across or will be coming across in your draft and sort of my take on them, whether or not, if they're overvalued, undervalued, and if I think they should be sort of on your pick list or if they shouldn't be. So we'll go alphabetically. Let's start with the Arizona Cardinals. David Johnson, he's ranked 4th overall. I like him right there. I've heard some people saying that he should be lower. He's injury prone. Running backs are injury prone. They're all injury prone. He's going to be the focal point of that offense. If Sam Bradford can stay on the field, then they should have a decent offense. I like him because he is their 3-down back and he catches tons of passes too. So if you're sitting around 4 or a little bit later than that, go after him. I love Larry Fitzgerald. I love him. Still underrated, so he's 36th overall. So we're looking at in the neighborhood of the 3rd round. He's still got it, and he's shown in years past when Carson Palmer was hurt that he can catch passes from just about anybody. He got 1,100 yards receiving last year. I expect to get similar production from him again this year. Don't touch anybody else on that team, including Sam Bradford, because I don't trust him to stay healthy. That's a guy that's injury prone. Very good quarterback, but breaks down quite a bit. All right, so we're moving on to Atlanta. Julio Jones, he is underrated this year. He's 10th overall. Arguably a top 3 receiver in the NFL. I know he wasn't catching touchdowns last year, but he is a marquee talent on a really good offense. So, that's a guy I want to keep my eye on. Devonta Freeman, I still like him quite a bit. I remember a few years ago when I won a bunch of championships because I had him on a ton of my teams. I drafted both him and Tevin Coleman when there was that sort of position battle in the preseason, and it paid off. I like him. I don't know if it's going to be turning into more of a timeshare, like if it's going to turn into like a 55-45 with him and Tevin. But again, somebody sitting there at 22 there aren't too many of these running backs, these marquee running backs out there. So there's more this year, but that's a guy I think you should go after. Matt Ryan, I like his valuation. He's at 107. I wait on quarterback. I typically wait on tight end unless they're falling like crazy. So he's sitting at 107. Again, he's at the controls of a pretty high-powered offense. He was amazing 2 years ago. So I could see that happening with him again. Then there's Mohamed Sanu, and then there's Calvin Ridley. I like Ridley to supplant Sanu. If you want to take a flyer on your last pick, I would keep my eye out for Ridley. All right, so let's go to the Baltimore Ravens, the place where wide receivers go to die, which means I will lead with don't draft Michael Crabtree. Just stay away from him. I know he had a pretty good year last year with the Raiders when he was on the field, but just Joe Flacco drops the valuation of receivers. Anybody that goes to play in Baltimore, not much happens from that. Alex Collins, I know he had a really good yards per carry last year as a running back, but Kenneth Dixon's coming back. I don't know what they're going to do in the backfield this year. So the fact that he's sitting there at 46, I think he's overvalued as well. And don't even think about drafting Flacco or anybody else on that team. Don't bother. And speaking of don't bother, the Buffalo Bills. This is going to be the worst offense in NFL football, maybe NFL history. It's going to be really bad. I still, on top of that, though, see LeSean McCoy as undervalued. He's sitting at 25. The little offense they have is all going to run through him. He's going to be catching passes. I know he's a little bit older. I think he's 31. I don't care. If I can get him, if I can get him as my 3rd player off the board, then I'm very happy. Don't touch anybody else. Well, you can touch a couple of the guys here. Kelvin Benjamin, don't bother with him. I know he's going to be their number 1 wideout, but look who else is on that team. And then there's Charles Clay. Charles Clay, he could be a decent fill-in at tight end. He's probably going to get 600 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. So, take from that what you want. All right. Okay, Carolina. So Carolina Panthers, Christian McCaffrey, everybody's going to go after me for this. I think he's overvalued. Ron Rivera was just saying that he thinks he's going to be getting more 1st and 2nd down work, but it's counterintuitive that they signed C.J. Anderson for that as well. He'll be catching passes, but again, in that sort of position, 34, I want a 3-down back, proven workhorse, or I want a marquee wide receiver. And I don't know what I'm going to get from him. I know he was really good last year, but I'm passing on him. I like Cam Newton at 63. I won't get him because, again, I wait too long on quarterback to do that. But I like the fact that he rushes. He gets yards on the ground. That just bulks up your numbers, your points for your quarterbacks if you get a guy that can run around a little bit. But again, I won't have him on any of my teams. Greg Olsen, again, just echo what I said before, but I wait on tight end. I still think he's a good value at 65. I mean, everybody's forgetting that he's the number one target selection for Cam Newton. So that's a guy that if he slips a little bit more than that, then he might be on some of my teams. Stay away from Funchess. CJ Anderson, he's going 79th. Depending on your needs at that point in the draft, keep an eye on him. Kick the tires on that guy. You won't be catching many passes with McCaffrey there, but see if he's around. All right, Chicago Bears. Everybody's hyping up their offense. They say it's going to be drastically improved with Fox, the departure of Fox. I don't disagree with that. I really had some problems with his play calling. Not like I'm an NFL coach or anything, but I didn't know what was going on last year. Jordan Howard, I think, is undervalued. He's sitting at 33. That's your workhorse back. I know that Tariq Cohen's going to get a lot of work catching passes, but Howard is a monster, and he just busts between the tackles. He's going to get a lot of touchdowns. So that's somebody that I'll be actively targeting, especially if I can get him that late. Allen Robinson, I mean, everybody's sort of, he's going to be the target hog, and he's going to be their guy, and sort of, let's say, the new Alshon Jeffrey in Chicago, but I think he's a little overrated at 41. I'd want something probably a little bit safer. Tariq Cohen, I don't know if his role's defined. I know they say they want to give him the ball. They're going to be creative with him. But again, I kind of want a little bit less of a gadget guy, that early. Well, no, he's 97th, but still. I don't be having him on many of my teams. Trey Burton's a good value at tight end. I'll probably have him on some of my teams. Gonna wait on tight end. He's going 100th overall. I expect that number to go down as drafts are happening. As the season really opens up, I see that number dropping down. All right, we're going to Cincinnati now. AJ Green, there's your marquee wide receiver. He's 14th overall. I like the valuation. I like when a wide receiver and a quarterback have been playing together for a number of years, even though I don't really like Andy Dalton. The fact that they know each other and there's some consistency there shows that that just sort of boosts the floor up for me. And, that's somebody that I might be considering. Joe Mixon, everybody's kind of going nuts over him. He's 44th overall. I know he's going to be the guy in the backfield, but the times when he was the guy last year, I didn't think he was really doing too much. I know that they blame a lot on his offensive line, but again, somebody I'm probably passing on. Same with Tyler Eifert. He's a Band-Aid. He gets hurt a lot. So do a lot of tight ends, but still, no thank you. Okay, let's go to Cleveland. Josh Gordon, crazy. Doesn't play for a couple years, comes back in, he's still awesome. I'm a little bit worried about Tyrod Taylor being the quarterback for as long as he's the quarterback. I don't think there's going to be a lot of passes. A lot of deep passes. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of passing happening. So, and the ball's gonna be spread out with a lot of guys, right? Brings me to Jarvis Landry. He catches about 100 balls a year in Miami. I don't know if he's gonna get that either. So I think that his value is gonna drop too. They're going 28th and 53rd. I think they're a little bit overvalued. I like Duke Johnson. He's sitting there at 93, but it's a crowded backfield right now. You got Carlos Hyde and you got Nick Chubb. Hyde's going 104th. Chubb's going 115th. If they were any lower, I'd want to just take them both and say, okay, who's going to get the job? But that's a little too rich for my blood, to grab those two guys in, let's say, the 8th or the 9th round and just sort of figure out where it goes from there. Let's go to Dallas, the land of no wide receivers. I love Zeke. Zeke's great. So he's 5th overall. I could see him even going higher than that. He's that workhorse back. He's going to be the engine that runs that offense. Wide receiver gets kind of interesting. So Michael Gallup, he's 141st. And Allen Hurns is going 227th. Somebody's got to get the ball. Dak's got to throw the ball to somebody. So those are two guys I'm going to be keeping an eye on. In particular, Allen Hurns. I just think that, he's probably going to deliver some value considering how low he's going in the draft. Dak Prescott, too. Again, not many people to throw to, but, he's way, way, way down on draft boards. He's sitting there at, he's 119th. So, actually, I take it back. Nope. I don't want to deal with him. Okay, let's go to Denver. Demaryius Thomas, I really like him. That guy's got a high floor. He's very stable, very athletic receiver. And Case Keenum is a good quarterback. I don't think that people are sort of appreciating the fact that that's such a big bump up from Sammy to Keenum. So I really like his value at 40th. Same with Emmanuel Sanders. I know he was injured a little bit last year. He's going 96 though. I like him too. Backfield's a little confusing. So we got Royce Freeman. He's going 92nd. I would definitely take him over Booker. I think Booker's going to get the first crack at the job because he's the veteran, but he's just never done very much. He was always supposed to. Case Keenum, there's some good value there, going 164. I could see him on a couple of my teams too. One thing, just side note, that I like to do is I wait on quarterbacks, but if I've got any depth in my bench, I'll just grab two. I'll grab two quarterbacks and I'll just start streaming them week to week. So if I had, let's say I get Phil Rivers and Eli Manning, I'm not upset about that because these guys can deliver top 12 production on any given week. And if there's any degree of predictability after the first few games, you can figure that out and you can just start streaming these guys in and out. All right, Motor City, we're in Detroit. I like Golden Tate. I don't like Marvin Jones Jr. I find if Marvin Jones is on my team ever, I'm just like, I don't know what he's going to do week to week. Golden Tate, especially in PPR, I find he's got that sort of stable floor. I like Matt Stafford at his value. He's sitting at 88. I probably still won't get him, but I think that he's a little bit undervalued sitting there. Kerryon Johnson and LeGarrette Blount, I don't know what to do with these guys. I could see Johnson getting the job and running with it, and then Blount just getting sort of like the goal line work. And I would take that risk at 125 that, they really want to have a bell cow, and they just want to have a running game. So they're going to be putting all the personnel in behind that offensive line to see who can get through it, to sort of give Stafford some help. All right, Green Bay. This is a fun team. You want to have a lot of pieces of this offense. So Devontae Adams, he's 15th overall. He's going to be the number one target for Aaron Rodgers. That's all I have to say about that. So get him if you can. Aaron Rodgers, still the marquee quarterback. If he falls to like the 6th or 7th round, I would take a shot on him. But he's going to like the 3rd round right now. Jimmy Graham. So all he's going to do, and he's going to catch touchdown passes. He's going to score touchdowns. He's probably going to get you 400 yards wide receiving too, 400 yards receiving. He's 67th overall. Way too rich for my blood. So remember I was talking a little bit about, getting both pieces of the backfield and seeing where it goes. Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones is maybe sort of an opportunity like that. They're going 81st and 130th. That might be some. So first of all, either if you have some sort of strategy employed where you want to get them both and then see how it pans out, you could do that. Outside of that, I'd like to get a piece of this backfield just to see what happens. Take the last one. Take the one that falls, which is likely going to be Jamal Williams. And Randall Cobb. So I know that there's a lot of talk about Geronimo Allison and the couple guys that they drafted that were wide receivers and possibly them emerging. But again, Randall Cobb has been catching passes for Aaron Rodgers for a number of years now. So that's not changing. And again, there's a vacuum. There's these receptions that are available with Jordy Nelson leaving, which is a completely different story. I don't know why that happened. But so that's a guy that you should be keeping an eye on because he's going 123rd. So that's somebody that I'd like to have at the end of my wide receiver bench. Okay, let's go to Houston. I love Hopkins. He's great. There's been some talk that he's not a top 3 wide receiver. He's a top 3 wide receiver. I think if I threw the ball to him, he'd still probably get 400 yards receiving. He's been delivering stats and production with subpar quarterback play, and now Watson's back. I wouldn't have a problem with you taking him in the 1st round. Watson, I think, is overvalued. We saw a half a season of production, and he's 50th overall. I'm not going to have him on any of my teams. He could be great, but again, I'm not taking the risk on that so early. Lamar Miller, there is something to be said of being the first, second down back on what's probably going to be a decent offense, but 58th overall, and it appears that he's wearing down. So, be wary about that. Will Fuller, he's 82nd. That's too expensive. If he was over, if his ADP was 100 or over, I'd be like, all right, let's do that. But no. Okay, let's go to Indy. Andrew Luck, I have no idea what he's doing. He hasn't thrown a ball in over a year, unless I've missed something in the past week or so. So who knows what's going to happen in terms of who's going to be at the helm, quarterback next year. Regardless, if he is the quarterback, T.Y. is a no-brainer, 37th overall, but he's the number 1 wide receiver. If you look over the past few years, though, he doesn't usually support a wide receiver 2 and 3 very well. If you look at Moncrief and all those other guys, he really pumps it to his number 1. That's Hilton. So his floor, if Luck doesn't play, then his floor is what? He got 950 yards, 4 touchdowns last year. I mean, that's his floor. So, there's still some safety in there if you go after him. Marlon Mack, I think he's going to get the keys to the backfield. There's some talk that they're going to be going by committee, but from what I know about their running backs, I think he's the most talented. And at number 70 overall, I think that's somebody that you could take a chance on. That he may be getting a good chunk of the work there. To be honest, I don't know what to make out of Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle. I don't know how that's going to pan out. I don't know if they're going to be running 2 tight end sets or what. But you've got two reasonably good tight ends that are going to be sharing the target. So we're probably going to stay away from both of them. Where are these guys going? They're going 113, 139. So again, I wait. So maybe I'll be stuck with one of them, but I wouldn't be chasing another one of those guys. All right, let's go to Jacksonville. Blake the Snake Bortles. Fournette, I love him. 18th overall. Yes, pick him up. If you can get that guy in the second round, you're laughing. And then you got D.D. Westbrook, Marquise Lee. I like Westbrook out of the two of them. Moncrief, I don't know what he's going to do. But again, somebody's going to be catching the passes there. There's also Keelan Cole. But yeah, I'm not really concerned about anybody outside of Fournette. And don't worry about Bortles. Don't take Bortles. Don't do it. All right, Kansas City. This is an intriguing offense, isn't it? Kareem Hunt. So he's 9th overall. I like him. I think so. I've heard speculation that he's not going to be running as much this year because he's going to be throwing more, and I don't think that's going to happen with a rookie quarterback, even though he's got a howitzer for an arm. So yeah, I think Kareem Hunt's going to be getting some touches. I don't know where Spencer Ware is going to sort of work into this equation. He's not hurt anymore, from what I understand. But again, we're worthy of his position. Kelsey, he's going to be a safety valve for Mahomes, sitting there at tight end, 23rd overall. It's too rich for my blood. Please don't draft Tyreek Hill. I'm not going to have him on any of my teams. I don't know what's going to happen with Mahomes and him, and also with Sammy Watkins. Another guy I don't want you to draft either, but he's 78th overall, so I'd kind of sign off on it, but not Tyreek Hill. It's too rich for my blood. Watkins, I think he just lets people down all the time. Mahomes could possibly be a second quarterback. I might take a flyer on him. Remember, I'm drafting him late, so he may be one of the two that I get on a couple teams. But 102nd overall, he'd have to keep falling for me to do that. All right, where are we going now? We're going to San Diego. We're going with the Chargers. Keenan Allen, yes, draft him, of course. 12th overall, fine with me. Melvin Gordon, I'm one of the people that likes Melvin Gordon. He's a very polarizing player. He's their bell cow. He catches passes and he runs all the time. And they got a decent offense. And they don't have a tight end because Hunter Henry's hurt. So I like him as well. And that fact that tight end is hurt, that tight end, Hunter Henry's out and they're not bringing Gates back. Mike Williams is a nice big body. He was a rookie last year and he was hurt. But I could see him coming in and maybe getting some touchdown looks. Again, way late in the draft and, sitting on the end of your bench hoping for the best, but there's a flyer right there. Another kind of fun offense is the LA Rams. Goff's a little overrated, but I like him and he's going to be on probably a couple of my teams if he falls enough. I also think that Brandon Cooks is overrated because I guess he's going to go into the Sammy Watkins role. Sammy Watkins didn't do too much with that role, so I don't know if they're going to be able to figure out how to use him, especially for where he's going, 49th. Robert Woods, 55th. Cooper Kupp, 74th. I'm kind of staying away from these guys. Maybe Cooper Kupp because I think that him and Goff have a pretty good rapport. So you could see a repeat of last year, and he 870 yards receiving. So. Again, there's some value to be had there. And then, how am I overlooking Todd Gurley? 1 or 2 overall, absolutely. I mean, he had a monster season last year. They figured out how to use him properly. They got Fisher out of there, and they Jim Foxed him. They got him out of there, and so now off he goes. So yeah, if you got an early pick, then he's perfect. Miami, this is a mess, isn't it? So Kenyon Drake. Apparently, they're not naming a starting running back. They think Frank Gore is going to be that guy. I hope they're not being serious. I like Drake. I like him at 32 because I think he's going to take over the backfield of that little bit of, that half-decent offense that they have. Don't draft Devontae Parker. Keep an eye on Kenny Stills. He's 174th overall. I like Danny Amendola to kind of come in and take some targets, that vacuum of targets that Landry left. He's 188th overall, so there's a flyer there. Expect him to get hurt. Expect him to play max of 12 games. But again, somebody you want to put on the end of your bench, somebody to think about. Tannehill, don't bother with him. And Gesicki, I think he's going to be interesting. Very athletic. He's a pass-catching tight end. I don't know how much they're going to work on the offense the first year. So keep your eye on him. He's 193rd, so he's likely going to be undrafted. But that's somebody that you want to keep your eye on early in the season. Here's an offense I really like, Minnesota. So Dalvin Cook, he's 17th overall. It's only because he got hurt last year, because when he was playing, he was amazing. So that's somebody I think he's properly valued, and I'd even reach a pick or two to grab that guy. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, 24th and 31st overall. It's expensive, but you've got Kirk Cousins, who's going to be on a rampage, going to be ticked off about how he left Washington, and he's got two great wide receivers. Now, he's going to come in, and who is he going to establish the rapport with? Is it going to be Diggs? Is it going to be Thielen? I'd rather have Thielen on my team, and there isn't too much of a difference in value, 24th and 31st. So, I could have Thielen on a couple of my teams. Kyle Rudolph is the beige of tight ends. What did he get here? He got 530 yards, 8 touchdowns. He is what he is. So, you might end up with him. Where is he? So he's 75th. I think that's a little bit overvalued. I think you can find somebody else on waivers that can do just that for you. At least stream them, right? The Giants, my team. Finally, maybe they're going to have a good year this year. OBJ, I love him. 8th overall. It's good value right there. Saquon Barkley, 13th overall. It's only because he's a rookie. I think he's going to crush. I think he's going to be awesome. So I could even see him going a couple picks before 13th. Evan Ingram, he had a lot of targets last year because there was actually nobody to throw the ball to. So I think he's overvalued, sitting at 52. But a guy I really like is Sterling Shepard, sitting at 91. That's a guy I'm going to have a lot of my teams. He's lining up outside. He's lining up inside. He's lining up everywhere. He's going to be, I think, second on the team in targets after OBJ. Sorry, Evan Ingram. Let's go to the Jets. This is a very sad state of affairs, isn't it? Crowell, so likely going to get the backfield, 90th overall. Yeah, I could see taking him. Robbie Anderson, I have no idea. I don't know what he did, but he's a bad boy. And he's apparently going to possibly get suspended. So I stay away from anybody that's going to be suspended or is already suspended. So, I'll talk about him later. But like Mark Ingram and guys like that, I can't bother. You suspend it for 4 games, you come back, and then the buys start. Who knows if you need to get ramped up to get back into the offense. I stay away from anybody that's potentially or is going to be suspended. Bilal Powell, forget it. I don't want to deal with him either. Terrell Pryor, no thank you. I got burned on him last year. But Quincy Enunwa, so he's going 258th overall. Big wide receiver. Sort of has like a bit of a pseudo tight end thing going on, just with his size. He had a good year a couple years ago. I think he had about 800 receiving yards, and he was out all last season. I think he hurt his neck. But that's a guy you could slide on the end of your bench and just see what happens. He could be the number 1 this year, and he's basically free. All right, the Patriots, the Super Bowl runners-up. Gronkowski, I love him, but he's 21st overall. He'd have to drop for me to even consider him. He's a monster. And how long he'll be a monster for, I don't know, but as long as Brady's there, he probably will be. Brady's going 48th. I like Tom Brady. He's Tom Brady, right? So he's a nice, stable guy, but I think that, again, I don't take quarterbacks that early. I'm going to stop saying that. I think I said it about 15 times now, so I think you get the picture. Sony Michel's interesting. I hate Belichick. I don't hate him. I don't like how he manages the backfield because I can't predict fantasy production, or I have difficulty doing that. So they drafted Sony Michel in the first round, so I'm kind of intrigued by that, and I'd like to get some shares in that guy, and he's 73rd overall. I'm going to take, I think, a couple flyers on him. I'll usually play about 10 leagues a year, so I'll have him on a couple, or 10 teams a year. Rex Burkhead, I mean, everybody loves him. He's 76th overall. No, I'll be the one guy that says don't. Everybody else is just all over Rex Burkhead, and I don't think so. But who I do like is Chris Hogan, because Brandon Cooks is gone, and the new deep threat is Chris Hogan. So I think he's going to deliver value on, 80th overall. So I could see taking him a little bit earlier than that. Remember, we're talking about suspensions. Julian Edelman, although he's appealed it, is suspended for 4 games, and he's still sitting at 95th overall. So forget it. I don't want anything to do with that. No thank you, no thank you, no thank you. All right. New Orleans, the Saints, they're a fun offense too. Alvin Kamara, he's awesome. He's 7th overall. I could see that even getting bumped up a little tiny bit just for the fact that Ingram is out. Ingram is 54th overall, suspended for 4 games. He's not going to be on any of my teams. I can't do with that. And he's going to be the number 2 anyways. I think they're going to just let Kamara run with it. He's got 4 games of runway to sort of blast off before Ingram gets back. I really like Michael Thomas too, 11th overall. I'll have him on a couple of my teams. Breeze, now I know he had a bit of an off year last year. Still, 4,300 passing yards. 62nd, I mean, I think that's a good value. So again, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I do with quarterbacks. But if you don't, then maybe pick him up. Another guy I like on this team is Cam Meredith. He's going to be the number 2 guy. He's going to be their number 2 target, or number 2 wide receiver, I should say. He's 157th overall. Keep an eye on that guy. That's a Brad recommendation right there that you go after him. Oh, Oakland. Okay, so here we are in Oakland with Amari Cooper. No idea what he's going to do week to week. Couldn't catch the ball last year. He's still going to be their number 1. Well, I guess he's going to be their number 1 wideout. There's just a lot of question marks with this team. 38th overall. You can get Fitzgerald right there. You know what I think about Fitzgerald, so I'd say go after Fitzgerald. Marshawn Lynch, 89th overall, also 33 years old. So I don't think I'm going to be getting too many shares of him. I mean, 89th, and you get the RB1 on a team. There's something to be said there, but I don't know. I'm going to try to stay away. Jordy Nelson, I don't know how is he going to be, without Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. We saw Mahomes throwing to him last year, and that didn't go very well. Or not Mahomes. What's his name? The backup for Green Bay. Anyways, let's just skip over that. Derek Carr, 144th. That's a guy I could keep, again, just a competent NFL quarterback. If I'm going with 2 quarterbacks, I'm streaming them. He might be one of them. Jared Cook. Don't draft Jared Cook. Don't draft Martavius Bryant either. I'm off on him. And stay away from Doug Martin. Some people are saying there's a value there at 180th, and he might take over the backfield. You know what? Somebody's going to take over the backfield, but the backfield could just be bad. So don't bother. That's me. Okay, Philly. Zach Ertz. Love him. 29th overall. Don't really like that though. He's going to be, he's going to be sort of the target hog for Wentz. But yeah, I think that's too valuable. I think he's ranked 3rd overall. Hold off for Greg Olsen or even what's his name there, Chicago, Burton. Alshon Jeffrey. You want a number 1, you want that number 1 wideout. He's that. His 30th overall, though, is a little pricey for me, especially with his injury history. Jay Ajayi, I don't know what's going on with that backfield. They're saying that he's going to be getting a lot of work. 56th overall, so, I could see myself maybe taking flyers on them. Remember, I load up on running backs and wide receivers. I just stock the house with those guys to start off, and then they sort of go after everybody else later. So he might be a guy that I'm taking a chance on. Nelson Aguilar, I mean, hopefully he continues to improve on last year, 101st overall. That's the kind of guy I'd like to see. There's not too much cost there, and there's some high reward upside with that guy. Don't worry about Mike Wallace. He's going to be deep threat. That's it. That's all. Don't worry about him. My man, Le'Veon Bell. If you get the 1st overall pick and you take him, I'm fine with that. He's the engine that runs the Steelers offense. Even though they also have the best receiver in football too with Antonio Brown, another guy. And you see now, there's a lot of really talented running backs this year, and it's bumping the wide receivers back a little bit. So don't be afraid if you got pick 6, pick 7 to grab Antonio Brown instead of one of the top 5 to 10 running backs. Get the best wide receiver because there's some value when you got Kenyon Drake a little bit later on. You got Jordan Howard a little later on. Derrick Henry a little later on. So, be open to grabbing a wide receiver first. It kind of goes back and forth year to year. It's weird. Juju Smith-Schuster, I really like him. I like him. But 42nd overall is too much. Too much because I don't know what I'm really going to get. I know a lot of people think they know what they're going to get, but I'm kind of probably going to be staying away from him. Roethlisberger, a lot of people want you to stay away from him. Here's a streaming option right here because he sucks on the road and he's awesome at home. I have no idea why, but anyways, I guess he just loves Heinz Field. But yeah, he might be on my team or in some of my teams because, again, he quarterbacks a great offense and he's a great quarterback. So I don't know why people are just, so down on him. All right, let's go to San Fran. Jarrett McKinnon, they're giving him RB1 money. I don't know if he's got RB1 durability. And what is he? He's 26th overall. People are all over him this year. They think he's going to be sort of, tearing out of that backfield, catching passes and running the ball most of the time. I think he's a little bit too rich for my blood, so I'll be passing on him quite a bit. Garoppolo, 64th overall. I see him falling, though. When I do my mock drafts, I find that I can wait and I can get somebody like him. He looked really good last year. He looked very competent. So that's somebody I want on some of my teams. Pierre Garçon, I'm not touching him. I just think he's starting to get a little long in the tooth. 72nd overall. Keeps me away from him. Marquise Goodwin, he had a good rapport with Garoppolo last year. He's 94th overall. He's a deep threat, but they managed to connect quite a bit last year. 962 yards to connect. So, keep an eye on him. That's a sort of a Brad recommendation. And then Kittle, the tight end, he could have a good year too. And he's sitting there. He's back at 112. So if you're waiting like me, keep an eye out for a guy like him. All right, the Seattle Seahawks, who now have no defense. So there's going to be a little bit more offense. I love Doug Baldwin. He's 19th overall, but again, he's got that rapport with Russell Wilson. I know he's not a big body, but they've lost, they lost Paul Richardson and they lost Jimmy Graham, that big tight end presence. So, he might be getting some more looks in the end zone. We know he's going to get the bulk of the passes. Russell Wilson's going to be throwing a lot more. 19th overall is pretty expensive, but he's a guy I really like, and that's another guy with a nice floor. Bit streaky, but he's got a good solid floor. Rashad Penny, they drafted him to be the number 1. He's 51st overall. I'd sign off on you grabbing him. But then, that brings you to Chris Carson, who's 184th overall, and who knows what's going to happen back there, right? I know that they're going to give Penny a good shot, but, anything can happen. And Carson's the kind of guy that you want to kind of, maybe take a flyer on at the end of your bench. Same with Lockett. Looks like Lockett's lined up and ready to be the number 2. With that being said, don't draft Brendan Marshall, okay? Don't draft him. Don't draft him on his name value. He looked so bad with the Giants last year before he got hurt. He looked lost and confused. Don't bother with him. CJ Prosise, people are saying, it's somebody that you want to keep an eye on. He gets hurt all the time. Pass catching running back, 257th overall. I don't know if that's your bag, but I don't recommend it. I don't sign off on it. All right, I'm kind of going on a rant here, eh? This is long. But we're going to Tampa Bay now. So Mike Evans had a terrible year last year. He's also probably one of the most athletic wide receivers in football. So they're going to find a way to get him the ball. 20th overall, I got no problem with you taking him there. Ronald Jones III, I don't know. Yeah, he's got the keys to the backfield. So 16th overall. So a lot of good rookie running backs that are apparently going to be sort of, given their shot this year. So I saw some of his tape, and he looks like a monster. They all look like the monsters in the NCAA. But anyways, he should be on some of my teams. Deshaun Jackson, he's one of those back and forth guys. 114th overall. If I'm drafting 5 wide receivers, I got no problem with him being the 5th because he has those big games. He has those big weeks now and then. And he's got another year with the same quarterback. Jameis Winston, put him on your team. He's crazy. Where did I hear it described? It's that he plays like his hair's on fire sometimes, and he does. He does some crazy stuff, but very athletic quarterback, and maybe he's one of those guys that's always a year away from greatness. But again, he might be one of the 2 that I'm grabbing if I got 2 quarterbacks on my team. I don't know what's going on with the tight ends. O.J. Howard's and Cameron Brate, 120, 130th overall. Remember, I don't like those sort of 2 tight end, 1 backfields or teams because you don't know where it's going to go. But again, I might end up with one of those guys. Keep an eye on both the early season because one maybe has let's say Brate gets more targets in week 1 and somebody goes and drops Howard. Just keep an eye on that kind of stuff early in the season. All right, let's go to Tennessee. Okay, so Derrick Henry is undervalued. This is my thought. Everybody's saying he's a monster. He's a year away. DeMarco Murray is, he's the only thing that's away from him or in the way of him. That's my fiance right there. Allie, say hi. Hi. Okay, that's Allie. And now he's gone, and everybody's just terrified because Lewis is in the backfield now. Tom Brady isn't throwing the ball to Lewis anymore. It's Mariota. So I think Derrick Henry's going to get the job. I think he's a little bit. I think the timeshare is going to be skewed way more in Henry's favor than people are anticipating. That's just me. 43rd and 57th overall for the 2 guys I'm talking about, but I'm passing on Dion Lewis. Corey Davis, I just love that catch in the playoffs in the end zone. More of that this year. I'd love to see. I think he's going to be their number 1. Oh, Elisa's here too, and that's Elisa. Oh, she's going to run away. That's Elisa. 84th overall, so yeah, that's a guy that you want to keep an eye on. Delaney Walker too for tight ends. I think he's sort of being overlooked. 87th overall, and same with Rashad Matthews, 131st overall. That's their second wide receiver they're lining up with, so that's a guy to keep an eye on too. All right, let's go to Washington. Here we are in Washington. So Darius Geis, he's going to be their running back. I don't see. I hate this. It's a mean name, but Fat Rob or Sam J. Pirine. I don't see them doing anything back there. Geis is going to be. It's his backfield to lose. Chris Thompson too. PPR leagues. That guy catches a lot of passes. He doesn't get a ton of work, but when he's on the field, he's producing. Then it kind of gets hazy, right? So Jameson Crowder, people are all over him. People were all over him last year too, and he didn't even get 800 yards receiving. And I think he's 85th overall. So whatever, take a flyer on him if you want, but I'm not really signing off on it. Jordan Reed, that's somebody else's headache. I'm never drafting him. 108th overall. He's going to play 4 games and he's going to be amazing. He's going to be hurt for all the other ones. Doxson, I don't want either on my team. You know who I do want is Paul Richardson. So I think Paul Richardson sitting down at 170 is a guy you want to keep an eye on too. He's going to be the deep threat. And Alex Smith was throwing the ball a lot deeper last year. So hopefully he keeps doing the same in Washington. So keep an eye out for Paul Richardson too. Brings me to Alex Smith, another safe quarterback that was probably going to be sitting there near the end of the draft that you can pick up and stream back and forth. All right, so I just exhaustively went through every team and high level give you an idea of all the players, what I think about them. You got any questions or comments below or tweet at me? Remember to like this video and subscribe. And again, there's Lisa. Okay, bye.
Put your seatbelt on and yield. It's the apocalypse.